obviously Tev and the whole AOC Zone crew for sponsoring it, and I just got in knowledge to do a quick winner interview. Congratulations, Knowledge Kellen. Just give us some thoughts about this great games.
Oh man. I mean, we kind of into playing these guys a little bit confident, and then after, especially in game one when they took the Persians, we thought, okay, we're gonna do some damage here. But then game two when they beat us in 1v1, which is the thing we were most confident about.
Yeah, indeed.
Basically our confidence went down the drain for a little while there, especially when they went up 4-2 on us. We were a little bit struggling at that point, so I felt that my team made a great comeback. I mean, we rallied, we talked each other through it. We made some adjustments going into the day, and we came prepared, and we basically pulled out the win.
Indeed, you did. Okay, obviously, great performances by you guys, and kind of being, at least for me, one of the top two favorites with KGB to take this whole tournament, and just adding Tattoo like greatly into your team. How much did you train with him, and how satisfied are you with your draft?
Oh, I can't give Rob enough credit. I mean, he was by far the best draft choice I could have made. I remember talking to him maybe just one night before the draft and asked him, "Hey man, like how motivated do you think you would be for DM?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I would try hard." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm going to draft you then." And I drafted him and did everything I could have asked for from the draft pick. I think Tato is possibly the most gifted player I've ever tried to teach before. I really think that if he wanted to, he could be the next top DMer if he really wanted.
Oh, sick judgment there. Oh god. Okay. Thanks for this inside information. How satisfied are you with your teammate Rage?
So, Wayne, people kind of gave him a little bit of a hard time for not winning the 1v1s, and I don't think anyone gave him as much of a hard time as he did to himself.
Okay.
Especially after and during our KGB games when he lost to his twin brother. That I think was a little bit damaging to his confidence level, but I kept telling him, and everyone else has been telling him, and everyone agrees that he's playing amazing in team game. In fact,
Indeed.
I would say that he's outplaying me by far. I think he's at such a high level in team game. I could have asked much more from him in that regard. I mean, we went into this tournament thinking that we would be, strong in 1v1, and I remember trying to push him to play more 1v1 and be prepared. I think he didn't play as much as he would have wanted to, but yet somehow something is just really clicking for our teamwork and just the way he plays in team game. I really couldn't ask more from him. So even though he lost more 1v1s than he would have thought, he played so well in the games that I think that really is a big part of the reason why we won.
Absolutely, I could not agree more. I'm so happy to still have some inside information for you. What do you think actually carried you to the final win of the grand finals? Was it the motivation? Was it the basic skill going into this tournament? Was it the team play? What was it for you?
For winning the grand final?
Yeah, maybe the whole tournament, because obviously we had great teams, and I had on my list 4 or 5 teams who absolutely could have taken this whole tournament. Like QuEnDi C showed great performances. For me, Horse Force was one of the big forces, and actually KGB and QuEnDi A, and then even Ousadia and Alegria going through as well. So, what do you think made the difference that you actually came out ahead?
Like you said, all those teams, they sounded really good, but for us, I think as soon as we read Rob, he just seemed to fit in so well with us. I mean, he kind of jokes around with us, and he's sort of a breath of fresh air sometimes sometimes when it's just Wayne and I teaming, we could sometimes both get down, but then Rob just seems always really confident and really cheerful. So then it just makes our whole teamwork aspect seem so much more confident to me. It's almost like I go into every series without any doubt in my mind that we're going to win. And it's not so much just his skill, Rob's skill, but I just think he complements our team so well that it makes it where all three of us together just become like a really strong team. And so I think that was a really big aspect of it, and I think another big aspect is the way we train together. So we were meeting up, or at least Wayne and I would meet up 2 times a week, and then I would try to meet up with Tato on the days that he had off. And during those times that we trained, we were really, I felt we were a lot more experienced in how we trained for every game, whereas, like we didn't exactly approach every game as well as we should have, and I think now we have a lot better of experience. Even that, like, I remember you mentioned this in a game before, Nilly, but that Michi or Michi or whatever you call it, that tournament over summer, it is as lame as that tournament was. I still think it brought even better teamwork and like preparation for Wayne and I. I think it gave me a lot of experience on how to prepare for a game as far as like the strategies to win. And I felt a lot of this tournament we just showed better strategy preparation. Of course, there were some games that we just simply couldn't really prepare for, like the Saracens plus Hidden on map pack.
Indeed. So then
I went Goth, and that ended up being sort of a train wreck. We weren't prepared for that at all. And
Continental was bad as well for you.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the Continental part of it. We really hadn't trained much at all on Continental.
And then playing against like 2 players having a lot of random experience isn't too great either as well.
And on top of all of that, despite Miguel, the one to play with Rubenstock, we still didn't predict them taking Huns with Saracen.
Okay.
And then, so it was a little bit of a surprise because we thought we would be playing the fast, aggressive style. I was being Goth. We thought that they would do something like maybe Celt or Teuton or something else. And then when they took Huns, it kind of debunked our strategy a little bit. And then, of course, there was a couple crucial mistakes. I did it on water. I didn't pay attention to a group tips, which was really a terrible, terrible mistake. And
oh yeah, you should rewatch my reaction to it. Just go on Reddit or yeah, never mind. Yeah, obviously Celts and Teutons aren't really a good option because they don't have the last attack upgrade, so the ships are extremely weak.
True.
So I would be surprised
if
they
picked land is a lot more big in that matchup, especially when you have siege onagers with either of those civs. A lot of times you have the chance to shoot ships with siege onagers.
Okay.
I really think Celts wouldn't be a bad choice on that map, but anyway, so we weren't prepared for a continental fight, especially when them picking Huns when we didn't see that coming. And then the 3 vs 3 on Gold Rush, where I was the Frank against Miguel Hun. I really felt Miguel was a big game maker, like a playmaker for their team. Especially in that game where he basically took it to me and just ran me over. I actually waved Wayne off on that game. I told him, yeah, take middle, I'm going to hold. There's no way I'm going to lose this. And so there was a point where we were starting to win the fight, and Wayne went towards the middle, which it seemed like the good way to go, but it was a crucial mistake. So, Miguel, I think, noticed this and just took it straight to me and killed me, and then we were GG. So, and then on top of that, Miguel winning his 1 vs 1s and tends to make that a crucial move, I think, a lot. So in a lot of ways, he was really playing well in this tournament, or at least in the grand final. So I got to give him credit too.
Okay, thanks for those inside infos. Clemenza, do you have any questions? Does not seem like it. Okay, last question from me, Callum.
Yeah, sure.
If it would have been a 2v2 tournament without any drafts, what place would you have finished?
Well, first, of course, but realistically, that's a tough question. I mean,
I'm not here for asking easy questions.
all right. Obviously, Jidba and Ort is a really good team, and they have like the KGB team, Praxis, well, Dane with Dan. They are really good. And then you two, you guys, the SU team, the TSU, you guys have always been a big surprise to me, especially for Wick. So I really can't even answer that definitively. I think our odds of getting first would have been a lot lower. Um, I think the draft thing is sort of like a plus for us because I tend to be big into training people, and so obviously whoever we draft, if he is someone who's like RMer, which what Tato is, I'm going to be teaching him. Whereas I think a lot of other teams, or maybe even all the other teams, did not focus at all on trying to incorporate their RMer or their draft pick into their like studying or their training. And that was, I think, a crucial mistake by some of the other teams.
Okay, and who again came up with the idea of drafting? Wasn't this QueNDi Kellen guy?
No, actually, that was all Taff.
Okay.
Taff was kind of the genius behind all of these settings, to be honest with you.
Okay. So I will leave you off the hot chair. You can say something if you want to, which wraps up the interview.
Well, if anyone else would like to ask me questions through the Twitch chat, I could answer those too. But I guess I would just like to say first off that this tournament was a lot of fun. I was slightly disappointed by how it didn't as much recognition, I guess, amongst the AOC community as it could have. But I mean, DM tournaments I think are a little bit of a work in progress in that regard. You all call gamers by their real names, not their nicknames. I think a long time ago, people don't realize that in DM started to die out for a while, and so then everyone was smurfing a lot, and then people would have so many different nicknames that we didn't know what to call each other, so we just started calling each other by our real name. And on top of that, as we got older, it just seemed sort of almost foolish. It's like, I feel kind of weird calling somebody the Vipe. It's like, oh, you're a snake? It just seems kind of odd to me sometimes to call people by these goofy names. Like,
when Shine was visiting me and sat at the kitchen table with my parents, they called him like, oh, Zu Shine, could you pass the salt? And he, yeah, sure, Zunilfet's mother.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the opposite effect with me. I think one time my dad overheard a conversation at my parents' house talking about the Viper or maybe someone else, and he goes, "So you're playing the Viper?" It's almost like this sarcastic joke, like these funny names. If you think about it, there's a lot of funny names here. Like, I shouldn't give any other examples. I don't mean to say that Viper has a funny name either. It's just, anyway. I always feel strange calling people that. To me, it makes more sense to call them by their actual name. And I think for the most part, the DM community feels the same way. Whereas RM, you guys have always kind of had your own way. But I don't know.
And obviously with random map you are changing your opponents way more often, and it's like a way bigger community. Players have been coming and going for years now, and deathmatch is like pretty much more consistent.
Exactly. And another thing, well, I wouldn't say that it's more consistent because I think we're getting a lot of new players involved. So, like, a lot of the top timers now at least semi-enjoy DM. And then I think a lot of the up-and-coming DMers, especially players like Clemenzor here, I think he's got a phenomenal amount of potential. In fact, him and Salva are a couple of my favorites to win this DM Rising Star tournament.
German-speaking guys only. Okay.
Yeah, the Germans, they might make a comeback in the DM world as far as taking top spots in 1v1, including you, Nilly.
Well, I had a good day against Tempo, but let's see. Let's see.
Well, hey, that's the first. I mean, I could pretty much thank Tempo for my current 2,300 rate. So, anyway, and then another thing I would like to comment on is the future of DM. I think we're going to be continuing tournaments. I think we can rely on there being a lot of more future events. We in fact have a sponsor, so this current sponsor is going to provide us with at least $2,500 for this upcoming DM 1 vs 1 World Cup tournament. So we will have that to look forward to, although I am working with TAF to make sure that this tournament happens at a different time than the upcoming RM 1 vs 1 tournament. So I think there's an RM tournament starting somewhere in
Dude,
January
don't spoil it too much. Don't
know.
spoil it too much. Not to influence with other tournaments. You want to say, yeah?
Well, I mean, I have no idea. It's just a rumor. I figured everyone heard this rumor. No, yeah, Jeff would never tell me anything about RM tournaments. I have nothing to do with that. But that's just pure speculation on my part. I just want to avoid any kind of RM tournament, so I'm going to plan to do something for DM World Cup afterwards, right? So maybe March or April. So I think we have that to look forward to, and then hopefully, if there's ever another DM inclusion in something like War is Coming, if there's another big tournament like that, then I think DM has a good chance of being included in that too. So if you're like a lower level player, if you think about it, like DM really, it doesn't have a whole lot of competition right now. So if you ever wanted to compete at the top level, your odds of doing so in DM is a lot better than in RM, and you could be included in some big tournaments. So I think it has that appeal to it at least.
Yeah, at least for now. Yeah, but the guys are getting so much better, and the games are getting tougher. Like we saw the last remaining 16 players, and they drafted 8 players, were 24 just incredible players all along, and I was so impressed by the level of all the teams.
Oh yeah, I mean this was it was amazing how going into the group stage there was like a poll created by Blotch asking who do you think will win the tournament, and then of course Jinwa's team got a large portion of those votes, right? And then very first game of the group stage is Ousadia and Alegria taking them down 4-2. When that happened, it was like this shock amongst all of us teamers. Like, oh my god, Jidba and his team have lost. And then, not only that, but Brew got to him in the 1 vs 1 Goth War, defeating him in Goth's 1 vs 1, which is arguably Jidba's second favorite war. Of course, Jidba's a little bit deep, but still, that's a phenomenal feat with Brew, and Brew really plays great. I think again, him and Miguel have really impressed the whole DM world, I guess. And then there was the next poll. I think were you the one who created it, or maybe it was Shine? Someone created a poll after that, like a post poll.
Yeah.
Right. And in that post poll, KGB got most votes, whereas QuEnDi C and QuEnDi B got the least votes. Well, at least QuEnDi B was probably a good one not to vote for, even though I voted for them. They would hate me right now if they heard me say that. But QuEnDi C also had the least votes, and look at what happened. They ended up destroying KGB 4-1. Naturally, the KGB team felt that they were not playing their best that day, but nevertheless, QuEnDi C really took it to them, and that was impressive. And then, so we had yet another huge upset with that.
Yeah, I think the vote system got a bit mixed up because QuEnDi C had like no extremely known players for them. So if a guy just randomly